Wyoming is a state in the Mountain West subregion of the western United States. The 10th largest state by area. It is also the least populous and the least densely populated state in the contiguous United States. It is bordered by Montana to the north and northwest, South Dakota and Nebraska to the east, Idaho to the west, Utah to the southwest, and Colorado to the south. The state population was 576,851 at the 2020 U.S. Census. The state capital and the most populous city is Cheyenne, which had an estimated population of 64,235 in 2019. Wyoming's western half is mostly covered by the ranges and rangelands of the Rocky Mountains, while the eastern half of the state is high-elevation prairie called the High Plains. It is drier and windier than the rest of the country, being split between semi-arid and continental climates with greater temperature extremes. Almost half of the land in Wyoming is owned by the federal government, leading the state to rank 6th by area and 5th by proportion of a state's land owned by the federal government. Federal lands include 2 national parks, Grand Teton and Yellowstone, 2 national recreation areas, 2 national monuments, several national forests, historic sites, fish hatcheries, and wildlife refuges. Original inhabitants of the region include the Arapaho, Crow, Lakota, and Shoshone. Southwest Wyoming was claimed by the Spanish Empire and then as Mexican territory until it was ceded to the U.S. in 1848 at the end of the Mexican-American War. The region acquired the name Wyoming when a bill was introduced to Congress in 1865 to provide a temporary government for the territory of Wyoming. The name had been used earlier for the Wyoming Valley in Pennsylvania, and is derived from the Muncie word Xway, Wamink, meaning, at the Big River Flat. Wyoming's economy is driven by tourism and the extraction of minerals such as coal, natural gas, oil, and trona. Agricultural commodities include barley, hay, livestock, sugar beets, wheat, and wool. It was the first state to allow women the right to vote and become politicians, as well as the first state to elect a female governor. Due to this part of its history, its main nickname is the Equality State, and its official state motto is Equal Rights. It has been a politically conservative state since the 1950s, with the Republican presidential nominee carrying the state in every election since 1968. A notable exception is Teton County, which has achieved notability for being Wyoming's most Democratic county and the only county in the state to be won by a Democrat in every election since 2004. Several Native American groups originally inhabited the region now known as Wyoming. The Crow, Arapaho, Lakota, and Shoshone were some of the original inhabitants white explorers encountered when they first visited the region. What is now southwestern Wyoming became a part of the Spanish Empire, and later Mexican territory, of Alta California, until it was ceded to the United States in 1848 at the end of the Mexican-American War. French-Canadian trappers from Quebec and Montreal ventured into the area in the late 18th century, leaving French toponyms such as Teton and Laramie. John Colter, a member of the Lewis and Clark expedition, itself guided by French-Canadian Toussaint Charbonneau and his young Shoshone wife, Sacagua, first described the region in 1807. At the time, his reports of the Yellowstone area were considered fictional. Robert Stewart and a party of 5 men, returning from Astoria, discovered South Pass in 1812. The Oregon Trail later followed that route. In 1850, Jim Bridger found what is now known as Bridger Pass, which the Union Pacific Railroad used in 1868, as did Interstate 80. 90 years later, Bridger also explored Yellowstone and filed reports on the region that, like those of Colter, were largely regarded at the time as tall tales. The region acquired the name Wyoming by 1865, when Representative James Mitchell Ashley of Ohio introduced a bill to Congress to provide a temporary government for the territory of Wyoming. The territory was named after the Wyoming Valley in Pennsylvania, made famous by the 1809 poem Gertrude of Wyoming by Thomas Campbell, based on the Battle of Wyoming in the American Revolutionary War. The name ultimately derives from the Munsee word Xway, Wyoming, meaning, at the Big River Flat. The region's population grew steadily after the Union Pacific Railroad reached the town of Cheyenne in 1867, and the federal government established the Wyoming Territory on July 25, 1868. Wyoming lacked significant deposits of gold and silver, unlike mineral-rich Colorado, and did not experience Colorado's related population boom. But South Pass City had a short-lived boom after the Carissa mine began producing gold in 1867. And copper was mined in some areas between the Sierra Madre Mountains and the Snowy Range near Grand Encampment. Once government-sponsored expeditions to the Yellowstone country began, reports B.